Welcome back every day here on WPBF 25 News at 9. We're going to have guests in studio making sure your family is ready for the new school year. And it's not just a big day for kids, but for parents as well. That's our countdown clock, if you were wondering. 5 days, 21 hours. It can be a very emotional day sending your child off to school or even seeing them walk into those big middle or high school. No matter the situation, Dr. Wald is here to help you get through it. We're here to help as well. Thanks for joining us. Anxiety. And it's not just the kids about having this anxiety. It's parents too, because this is a big transition. Let's start with the kindergartners. You're sending them off to school for the first time. What do you want parents to know about this anxiety on both sides?
So I think the theme of our conversation today is going to be about having series of conversations rather than just one huge conversation about something like anxiety. So you want to ease a child into the idea of being left at school for the first time by themselves and this whole idea, so that they have an opportunity over time to process everything that you're saying, and then over time they'll have more and more questions that they ask you, and you want to make sure that the questions that they ask you answer as completely and in an age-appropriate way as is humanly possible. So kind of ease them into the idea of being at school, being in kindergarten, for example, and allow them to ask the questions that make them anxious, because it's difficult for us to know exactly what it is that's going to make them nervous.
And for mom and dad, if you've been with your child since birth, all of a sudden you're saying, here, go into school, be a real kiddo. I mean, that's hard for parents too.
It is hard for parents. The definition of anxiety is excessive worry, right? It is excessive by definition. So you have to kind of pull yourself away from anxiety and remind yourself what the reality of the situation is. The reality of the situation is that you're leaving your child with other people, which is scary, but at the same time, these are people that are extremely highly qualified, know exactly what they're doing, have a lot of training, and have been doing it likely for years and years. So it's a great opportunity for parents to kind of work on their anxiety, knowing that you're putting your child into a situation that realistically, when you look at it the right way, is something you should be comfortable with.
Something we don't want to talk about, but the anxiety for parents is so real, especially after, you see all these school shootings, and here they happen in our backyard. In your practice, have you had parents talk to you and say, I'm scared to death to send my child to school?
Yeah, definitely. That's increased anxiety among parents. And again, what I would want to bring parents back to is the fact that this is, as crazy as it sounds, worrying about shootings is excessive worry. When you look at the statistics, yes, school shootings have been on the rise, but if you look at the statistics and the likelihoods of your child ever being involved in or seeing a school shooting, they are astronomical. So really the reality of the situation is that your child is so extremely unlikely to be involved in anything like that. But because we see it and because it's so scary when we see it on TV and we might know someone who is affected, it makes it very real. But again, the reality of this situation is that the overwhelming likelihood is that nothing like that will ever touch your family. We sure hope
you're right. All right, let's talk about middle school and high school. So you're going to perhaps a brand new school, new kids, new teachers, new environment. How do you prep kids for that? Because this is kind of that age also when they may not want to talk to mom and dad as much and share those fears.
Yeah. So again, going back to our original theme for this talk today, which is having series of conversations with your child. So when you're approaching a very difficult subject like drugs, for example, this is every time that you're sitting with your child, you're watching TV, for example, it might be an opportunity to have a small conversation about something like drugs. And as crazy as it sounds, that can start at a very young age. So if you're sitting with your child and there might be an ad on TV for quitting smoking, for example, that might be an opportunity to explain to a young child, yes, there are certain people, the same way that we take medications that help us sometimes, there are sometimes that people put things that are kind of like medications in their body that are not good for them.
And really quickly, I'm getting a wrap, but cyberbullying, just because they've been on summer break, unfortunately, it could still be happening. Perhaps it happened all summer. So if you're noticing some anxiety, make sure you're asking those questions, I would guess.
Yes, absolutely. And in terms of cyberbullying, be on top of it. You have to know absolutely everything that your child is doing on the internet, because kids are so good at hiding those things these days.
All right. Anxiety is normal. It's very normal to be worried, a little nervous, but everything's going to be okay, right?
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
what we have to keep telling ourselves. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Sandra, we'll send things over to you.
Thanks, Aaron.